Hey team, this is Gina Doyle, a senior product designer for Runner Fleet. I was looking for your feedback on a feature that I'm working on to provide a full report of runner minutes per project in the admin area. Wanted to give you a tiny bit of context before we get into the design though. The persona that we're solving for is a system admin or a platform engineer, and it's specifically for these people who are bringing their own runners. So typically we see that as self-managed, but it could be on SaaS as well. We are looking at those people who are bringing a large number of shared runners, and they are specifically shared runners or instance runners. So these runners are available for all their projects to use. What we've seen over time is that there's a centralized team that is managing those runners. Just like at GitLab, we have a team that manages the shared runners that are available to all our users. We're seeing that for our customers as well. And what they're lacking is visibility into which projects are using those runners the most. And the reason why they need that information is for two things. One is about cost, and one is about optimizing their fleets for performance. So cost could be that they want a type of chargeback model so that when they get their monthly bill from whatever cloud platform they're using to host their runners on, like GCP, for example, they want to know this project used 50% of the total minutes used in that month, and they want to charge them that. And then the other reason about the performance is if they're seeing specific peaks in the year where more runner minutes are used than normal, or if they're just seeing that maybe they have a fleet of 2 runners and they're seeing the runner usage incrementally increasing, and maybe their company is increasing and getting bigger, they could end up adding more runners so that the load on one runner isn't so much. So I'm going to get into the design now. So I'm looking for your feedback on 2 things primarily, but I'm open to other feedback if you have more general stuff. One thing is that since this is the admin area, we could be dealing with tons of groups and projects. With that said, when we are plotting that on a graph, it can become pretty much unusable if you were to show all groups and all projects. Trying to list a legend here underneath the graph could become just crazy scalability wise. So I was thinking or proposing that I could move the color chips that are associated with each project, since this table is actually listing the exact same projects that are shown in this graph. Just moving those color chips down into the table, because I think it would be more scalable. And anyways, when we're listing the legend, it's repeating the same information that would be shown in this table regardless. And the reason why we have the table and the graph, by the way, is the graph can show some trends over whatever time period you're picking. So right now I'm saying previous month. So September 1st to the 30th, I can see how the minutes are trending for each project. But what the table allows me to do more easily is compare across projects, the usage across them, percentage used, jobs run, which is really important because you can see if it took me 1,000 minutes to run 3 jobs, those jobs are running pretty slow versus 4,000 minutes to run 12,000 jobs. And then finally, we have the top runner used here, which allows the admin to see which specific instance runner is being used the most for that project. So yes, the first thing of feedback was about the legend, and then the second is about filtering, which is always fun. Like I said, you could be dealing with tons of groups and projects in this view. So initially I had the header in the filter turned on, and so that the user was able to deselect all and select all if they need to. But then we found a limitation from the back end that if you were to deselect all projects, for example, and then select one, it would actually be too much to send. And it would result in some timeouts. So we are only able to have the all option, and that effectively to deselect from the all option, you would just have to select one or more groups or projects, whatever. And so that's one thing I think is different, and I'm proposing to kind of separate that all option from the other ones. I would love to know what you think about that. And then secondly, I am also proposing for these larger drop downs, tags, groups, and projects that have an undeterminate number of options, because you could add any more of those at any time. I wanted the selected options to be pinned up top once you select them, so that it's really easy to go back and deselect it if you need to. I have seen this pattern used on the value stream analytics dashboard, but I did notice that there were headers there that said like selected and maybe unselected or something like that. So I'm wondering if we need those headers, or if just like pinning them up top is okay enough. And then finally, the runner type and the time period filters, I am not having work the same, because they both have determined number of options and they're a small number of options. So I just wanted to know if that was a little bit, like, if that inconsistency makes it a confusing experience. Yeah. And then lastly, this custom date, I haven't 100% figured this out yet, but it is something that we'll allow for in the future for the user to be able to filter by a date that they set themselves, which I'm thinking will just bring up a modal from this menu. So yes, thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback.